Hello and welcome. Here is another video about SMMware, software for your day-to-day business operations. Our topic today will be the experience of a basic team member. For a general overview of SMMware, please see our introductory video at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/SMMware, or just search your YouTube app for SMMware. Okay, let's begin. Your company will provide you with the URL for your SMMware site, as well as your username and password. You always have the option of changing your password. From the login screen, click on Forget Your Password, or Forgot Your Password. Come to the next screen and enter your username. Click Submit. You will then receive an email like this one with a link to click on, taking you to the website where you can then reset your password. On the login screen, you'll enter your username and password. In this case, I happen to have one memorized. The username is caps insensitive, but the password is caps sensitive. Go ahead and log in, and it takes you to the home screen. Depending on your installation of SMMware, you may or may not see the jobs item in the main menu and the organizations and contacts. The different permission levels may or may not be showing you those. At the top of the home page, you'll see a section called My Tasks. And any tasks that have been assigned to you will be showing here. They may have come from different places, like a job, but whatever tasks you have in the system will appear here. If you create a task and delegate it to someone else, the next section, called My Tasks Delegated, will provide you a list of those so that you can check in on them. If a call has been created and assigned to you, that will appear here under the My Calls section. If you have the option in your system set up to approve the hourly and expense entries, and if one of your entries happens to have been rejected, it will appear here. And if you go to the details for it, it'll explain to you exactly why it was rejected. So this one was reviewed by the system administrator, and the reason was that they thought it was a different number of hours than the 6 that were put in. The next section is called My Teams as Member, and I'll show you a listing of the different teams that you are a part of. And then at the bottom of the screen is the schedule. Here you will see entries that are that involve you as an attendee, but you don't see everything that's gone on across the entire company. So this way you don't have to worry about, for any given event, whether you're involved in it or not. If it appears on this schedule, then you are part of it. Note that if an event is tentative, it'll have some sort of border around it. Also note that the entries are color-coded, and the key down here will match for color to the events up above. This is customized for each company, so your exact labels and tags may be different. And don't forget, you can navigate from one month to the next using the nav bar here. One of the most common tasks that you'll perform in SMMware is entering your hours. This can be found under the Associates Record My Hours command. The top section will provide a place where you can create new entries. And this second table down below shows an existing entry table. Here you might be able to edit an existing entry if it has not yet been approved or brought into an invoice. If it is part of an invoice, you'll see the invoice number there. Your entries will appear here for as long as the job is active. Once the status of the job has been changed by either a project manager or office manager to something like work completed or just closed, then the entries will disappear off this list below. Going back to our top section, when you want to make an entry, first you enter a date, and then you pick the job that you're working on. Your system can be configured either with start time and end time, or it might have a single field where you simply enter the total number of hours. If you try to create an entry that overlaps with an existing one, you'll get a warning. The system does not allow duplicate entries or overlapping entries for hours. And you may or may not have a break hours field. But if you do, you just enter the number of hours in decimals or in fractions, like 1.5 or 0.5. Over here you have the description. You can use this little pop-up to enter a preset term. If you need to make more than one entry at a time, you can use the Add New Row button. If the job you're working on is using something called job codes, then you'll have a drop-down for them appear. So it's possible that some jobs will have job codes and some will not, but most likely in your system, they either all will or all won't. And these job codes describe the kind of work being done. If you're using job codes, then in the description field, you might put in the room you're working in. And once you have your entries completed, just go ahead and hit the Save button. You may see the word late in red, depending on the amount of time that's passed between when you're entering the hours and when the work was done. And the system does inform the administrator that a late entry was made via email. Another task in SMMware is to enter your expenses. This works in much the same way as recording my hours. You have a top section for new entries. You have a lower section for these existing entries. You once again have to select a date and a job. In this case, instead of the hours, you're going to put in the amount. You have to pick a vendor where the money was spent. You also need a description. You can hand type something. You can use this little pop-up box as well. In this case, the company radio button means that you used a company credit card. Reimbursable means that you paid out of pocket and the company will have to pay you back at some point. Going back to the idea of scheduling, if you are using the availability approach to scheduling in your company, then you'll come to the My Unavailability command under Associates and My Unavailability, and you can indicate when you are not able to work. To create an entry, you simply click and hold, and then you drag your mouse. And once you've created an entry, you can modify it. You can click and drag it around. You can modify it or stretch it. And if you don't need it, you can click on it to get rid of it. If you want to, you can fill in an entire week. Just click and hold in the upper left-hand corner. Drag it across the entire week. Let go. SMMware will create entries for each one of the days. And from there, you can modify it if needs be. Another option in SMMware is that instead of describing when you can work in terms of your unavailability, you may see a command called My Availability here. It works the same way. It's just that the entries, instead of indicating when you cannot work, will indicate when you can. Let's go back to our homepage calendar again and look at one of these events in a little more detail. You can see the description. You can see who the attendees are and what their time span is for working, their shift. It's also true that there's a map link. Clicking on that will open up a mapping function, in this case Google Maps. And if you're on your phone, which we'll look at in more detail later, you can use the GPS directions from there. Also from the event details, if you have access to the jobs, you can click on the job profile link at the bottom. And this allows you to get more detail about that job. From this job profile, you can click on the shortcut next to their name, the client name. Let's look at the client profile, which has some additional detail. And from here, there is a jobs section where you can click on the job at hand, take you back to the job profile. So those two shortcuts allow you to navigate between the jobs and the client profile quickly. Within a job profile, you will be able to upload files. So if you take photos in one of the bedrooms or something like that, you can upload up to 20 files at a time. You can multi-select. This is true on a mobile device as well. You'll also notice that the file names here have long random strings, which is typical for how a phone will name them. And what we're going to do is use the auto rename to help make those file names clearer. We're going to select what's known as a tag, which is usually the room that they are taken in. And when we auto rename, the final name of the photo will be a combination of the tag plus an automatic sequencing. So the first photo would be bedroom 1001, then bedroom 1002, and so on and so forth. So we've got our two steps that we're through so far. We've selected our files, we've picked our tag. Third final step is simply to upload the documents. And then you can see the photos. Go ahead and click on a photo to see an expanded view. And then you can just click around to navigate through them. When you're finished, go ahead and click on the X to close. You can also enter notes. You may do that on a day-by-day basis. Each entry here is created by someone where the system is marking the date that it was created, a summary, and inside the details it'll have a full description. Let's go ahead and create a new note. This particular note is formatted for a daily report, but yours may not be. And this is information that the system is looking for you to put in. An actual entry would probably be longer. There's the note we created. You can also create calls. So if you're going to set up a call with a client, you can set the date and the time, whether you're calling them or they're calling you. And of course the phone number. You can also set reminders, which will come by email. For scheduling, when you are assigned to an event, you'll receive an email like this one. It'll just simply say that you are added to the event. Have some more details down below. Whoever is designated as the main contact for the event, their information will be at the bottom. And the link to a map will also be there. If your company is using the invitation-based approach, instead of an email saying that you've been assigned, you'll get one saying that you've been invited. And at this point, you're going to indicate whether you are interested or if you are not. And then from there, the team leader will decide whether you're part of that event or no, and you'll get an email notification for that. So if maybe too many people were interested, then they have to pick a portion of them. If you make an hours entry and it was rejected, you will receive an email, and it'll look something like this. And at the very bottom is the reason for the rejection. If someone assigns a task to you, you will get an email letting you know. It'll look something like this. Within the Organizations and Contacts Manager, the organizations are vendors or perhaps communities, and the contacts are people who work at those various organizations. They're divided up by category, so you can come to the listing page, expand a given section, and see the various organizations within it. You can also do the same thing from the contacts section. And this may be of interest in terms of making a recommendation to a client who wants to know what plumber you might want to recommend. A few more things to cover within SMMware. There's a search bar at the top. You can search based on client records, organization records, contact records, or from other associates. Within SMMware, you may see these little question mark icons, and if you're on a desktop machine, you can put your mouse over them, and if you just hover without clicking, you'll get a little pop-up that provides some additional information. There's also a PDF user manual for basic level users, which your company may provide to you. Now let's take a look at what it's like to use SMMware on a mobile device. Here we are on an iPhone. You should have an icon on your desktop. In this case, we have one here. You can tap on that with your finger, and it will open the web browser on your device and take you to SMMware. And assuming that you told SMMware to remember your login, you'll just come right in. And from here, some of the common tasks that you'll do. You'll check your home page. You can see the different tasks that are assigned to you. And if there's any events, you can create hourly entries just as you did before. Since we're on an iPhone at the moment, I'll show you how to create the desktop icon for one. Start by clicking on the share icon at the bottom of the screen. You get a pop-up. Scroll upwards. Click on Add to Home Screen. On the next pop-up screen, you can rename the desktop icon if you'd like, or accept what it says, and then simply click on Add. I won't do that since I already have an icon on the screen, but that's how I did it. And when you're done, you'll have something just like that. We hope you found this video useful. To find out more, you can visit our website at www.smmmware.com, or you can call us at 240-285-4619 with questions. SMMware is an industry partner with NASM, the National Association of Senior Move Managers. We appreciate your time and hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.